and give you a CDL license. And once you graduate, they'll actually get you a job with a reputable trucking company. So it's a guarantee, good deal, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty popular.
These economic times, absolutely. And what's almost a guarantee, 3 wins here at Richmond. Dale Jr., very good.
Thanks, Krista. Here's Clint Boyer in the BB&T Chevrolet for Richard Childress. First of the Childress cars to run, 4th on his first lap with a 54.
Defending champion of this spring race. He only led 2 laps, but it was the right 2 laps, the last 2.
Doesn't have the car that he won that race in.
Kevin Harvick will. He doesn't have that car.
Here's Boyer trying to take the pole away from Stremme before David even gets out of his car.
I think he did it.
No, second. 44 with a 4 for Boyer. 44 with a 1 for Stremme.
Wow, all the top 3 at a 4-4.
Harris dealer. And by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing info, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. First lap for Elliott Sadler in the Stanley Dodge, 21.72.
This is pretty much a home game for Elliott. From down the road, Emporia, Virginia. It's not been one of his better racetracks. 20 career starts here and only 1 top 10 finish.
Second lap is marginally quicker, but it still leaves Sadler 7th of 8. Dick?
Well, David Stremme bounced it off the wall in happy hour, but came back to do a terrific run in his qualifying effort. Tell us about it.
Well, I give a lot of credit to my team, the whole Penske organization. One of the things, I hadn't got to run the Cup car here in over a year, and I was screwing myself up out there. We looked at some video from practice that really helped me out, just hitting my marks. Leaned on Sam and Kurt both, and I think we got a pretty good car. I mean, I've felt like that in practice. I just got to get more acclimated to these Cup cars, but really proud of all the guys on the number 12 Dodge.
That's neat, looking at video to go faster.
He is the fastest so far. Denny Hamlin trying to become the 4th driver, only the 4th driver from Virginia to win a Cup race at Richmond.
Well, he came pretty close about a year ago, like 380 something of 400 laps.
Led 381 of the first 382. Tire.
I wouldn't be surprised he didn't lead them all this week. That car just looks so.
Daryl, I believe he's going to be down in the 30s, it looks like.
Yeah, that car is just
21,
so smooth around this racetrack and right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Man.
And you were saying during the break, Logano's car looked just like
exactly like it, yeah.
Hamlin is trying to join Jeff Burton, Ricky Rudd, a 2-time winner, and Joe Weatherly, who won 3 as home state drivers to win at Richmond. X-Men Origins Wolverine slashes its way into theaters near you. Today is the premiere. Get out and see it.
There's another car that's going to be pretty quick around this place, I bet you.
Yeah, Brian Vickers is the track record holder and the California pole winner.
He was 3rd quickest in practice, so yeah, I'd say he's definitely a potential. Has 1 pole already this year, as you mentioned.
Well, this will probably be the fastest first lap. It is 21.42 by a wide margin.
Oh yeah, this guy could go into 20s.
Oh yeah, he's the fastest first lap by well over 1/10 of a second. There you see it. Let's see if the thing will stick, if he can pick the throttle up.
Oh, she'll stick. He's digging up out of the turn 4.
It's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be enough, I believe. 21.23.
That's a lot, Larry.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Brian
Almost 1/10 of a
Vickers
second.
trying for his 2nd Richmond pole, puts the Red Bull Toyota on the top of the board. Watch it live May 16th as part of Speed's special edition of NASCAR Race Day. Do you have a strategy for that?
Well, yeah, I do. I'm planning on just pulling out there, putting the nose up against the wall and blowing out both rear tires. I'll be done. They don't change tires in this thing, do they?
No, they don't. I think you're limited to what you start with.
That's right. I'm going to blow out both rear tires and back her up in the grass and go home.
All right, Paul Menard has 2 top 10 starts this season, Texas and Phoenix.
I don't think it'll be here, though.
No.
21.83 on lap 1. He picks it up 1/10 and a half, but stays 10th.
Dick Berggren.
Well, last year, Denny Hamlin led virtually every lap in the spring race, finished third in the September race, has a fast car now. Preview tomorrow night for us. What can we expect from you?
Well, hopefully win. You know, we've been really close here at this track with our FedEx team, but just never quite there at the end, just for different circumstances. But, you know, I think, you know, if anywhere owes me one, this one definitely does. But it definitely means a lot to win here. And, you know, we've got obviously a great car. We just got to make sure we put ourselves in position at the end tomorrow.
Run all the laps. That's the key. Thank you.
Big smile for Denny. He is second right now as Michael Waltrip in the Napa Toyota.
Now, Michael's car looked really bad in turn one. It got kind of rolled over on the right front, slid the front tires a little, and the back stepped out on him. Car's not very stable.
Michael had an outside pole here back in 1990. One of only 3 drivers who competed on both the original, well, not original, but the half-mile track and the current 3/4-mile configuration.
Car's just really free. I think if he gets through here, he might pick up a little on the second lap. The car's really free.
Yeah, Darrell and I were talking earlier. This just has not been one of Michael's better tracks. This will be his 44th career start here. He only has 2 top 10 finishes.
Yeah, and those were a 9th and a 10th. So Michael Waltrip, 9th of 12 so far. Just $25. Call the number on your screen or visit the Lowe's Motor Speedway website. Bobby Labonte has been running at the finish for 20 straight races at Richmond, the longest current streak. He had 8 straight top 10 starts here and has a pair of runner-up finishes.
He was 35th quickest in that final practice just a little while ago.
Down to 90 miles an hour in the middle of the corner. And then up to 151 down the straightaway. So straightaways go by fast.
Yeah. 21.86 for Bobby leaves him 12th of 13.
Right back there with his teammate.
Yeah.
Dick?
With Brian Vickers, who so far is quickest, Ryan Pemberton and his crew chiefs just come over for congratulations. You hold the track record here, so you've started on the pole before. How big a deal is it to start on the pole here at Richmond?
I think it's huge, to be honest with you. I mean, this track it makes for great racing. There's 2 lanes, but neither lane has an advantage, so it actually makes it very difficult to pass here. It's easy to get beside someone, very difficult to complete the pass. Qualifying is going to be very important because of that. It's also going to be very important for pit road. Pit road, a lot of cars can get tore up here, and to have that first box out would be awesome. Really proud of the Red Bull Toyota guys. I mean, they we unloaded okay. We went really bad in practice and really righted the ship. You know, Ryan, Dave, all the guys righted the ship and ended really well.
So it's going to be a fun night tomorrow night for NASCAR on Fox. Krista.
Absolutely, Dick. And Casey Kane has done something that all these guys want to do at this track, and that is win from the pole. So you know it can be done. How important is track position here at Richmond?
I think it's pretty important, you know, getting on and off pit road to have a good pit stall is obviously a big part of it, too. The race runs here seem to go for a long time sometimes, so you can pass and the track moves around. So it's a racy place when you have a good car. Hopefully we do on tomorrow night. It'll be pretty fun.
All right, thanks, Casey.
The Bush's Baked Beans Toyota for Marcus Ambrose, who had his first top 5 oval track finish last week, clocks in 7th with a 21.52.
You know, Brian Vickers on our trackside show tonight, so he's over there doing a show with us. Comes back over here, hops in his car, and goes out and sits on the pole. Now, that just says a lot about a driver to me, because I can remember back when I was doing really well in this sport. I wanted to be left alone. I wanted to focus. I wanted to get in my car. I didn't want anybody bothering me. But these young guys, they really multitask. Doesn't bother them a bit.
New paint job for Kyle Busch. Combos on his Joe Gibbs Camry, who tomorrow night could become only the 2nd driver in NASCAR history to win on his birthday. Cale Yarborough did it last year on his birthday. Kyle Busch finished 3rd here in the nationwide race.
Tell you what, this has been a good racetrack for him, especially in Sprint Cup. 8 starts, 6 top 5 finishes. He's completed every lap of those 8 races. First lap, 21.47.
Yeah, this old girl looks pretty good around here right now, too.
That's the 2nd best first lap.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think it does.
It does. Yep.
Doesn't look like he's going to pick up on his 2nd lap like some of the guys.
A little bit, but not a lot. Picks up 1 spot.
Yeah, 1 spot to a 46. 6th.
It's not always a bad thing, though. You know, if you got a good race car, you're good on the long run, sometimes you just can't get that real fast first lap.
Dale Jr. next, then Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. Jr. finishing second at Talladega, his first top 5 of the season. The National Guard drive the guard Chevrolet.
Well, his day started off eventful. Fortunately, it didn't hurt the car much. He and Juan Montoya got together going in turn 1 there, and Juan hooked the 88 there in the back end and flipped him around into the wall, but it didn't seem like it hurt him.
And he got started good.
No, they were just, I think it was their first lap.
And he moved up 4 points in the standings last week to 15th. He's 45 points out of 12th place, which is the last car that would make the chase for the Sprint Cup.
Not a great first lap, 21.75, and he's flirting with the top 10. Been a good racetrack for him. He has 3 wins. In fact, his last win driving for DEI was here a couple of years ago. Car really loose on acceleration, it looked like.
Good pickup. 9th. Picked up 10th and a half. 21.59. 9th fastest.
Good looking paint job this week. I kind of like that red and blue and big National Guard.
Very patriotic looking.
Rolled the center pretty good. I lost a lot of rear grip and very full on the second lap.
We could see that, absolutely.
I want to check into what that 88M is all about, both on his uniform and look right there on the nose beneath National Guard. There's an M right along with the
Maybe
88. Krista, what's
military?
Mike, it's so funny because I have an email that I'm going to send you. The National Guard folks heard you talking about it in practice, and they said we will get him the information. It's specialty transport drivers, guys who drive combat vehicles that kind of logistically support the military. And there's 2 classes. There's the 88s, and then there's another specialty that's the M's. So an email will be forthcoming. It will be a little more detailed, but that's the bare bones description of it.
I understand it now. I was a 71G. Yeah, in the Army Reserve. So now I get it. We'll explain it tomorrow night.
Well, I think they call it the motor pool, don't they, where all the trucks and equipment that the guys travel around in?
You know, Kevin Harvick's first lap, 21.53, but he couldn't get off either end of the racetrack on lap 2. He got in good, looked like he went through the middle, but a lot like Dale Earnhardt Jr. was complaining, he couldn't get off the corner, ends up 8th.
But now, isn't that the car Kevin Harvick won here with?
I heard it was.
Clint Boyer.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah,
him
Clint
too.
Boyer.
That's right.
That's what we're being told. I'm going to get to the bottom of it, though.
Stay tuned for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Carl Edwards. He's in the Aflac Ford this week. Maybe the Duck will have better luck. As Carl came within, about 400 feet of winning at Talladega last week. 7th in the point standings. The note. Thanks, Jimmy. It says here he led lap 125 and 187 at Talladega last week, and most of lap 188.
That's pretty much speaks the truth.
He was within 100 yards of having it in the bag.
That's true.
First lap 21.74. You know, we followed him pretty closely through those 2 practice sessions, and I don't know that he ever got real happy with this 99 car. We saw a lot of that loose late exit of the corner.
It's pushing loose, Larry. He's got a lot of wheel in it, and when it gets out of the banking up on the straightaway, the back end wants to step out.
He won't be too happy with this. 21.81. He's going to stay 16th of the 18 cars that has qualified.
And this pit road, getting a bad pit selection here can hurt you big time.
He's only the 3rd driver so far who did not go faster on his 2nd lap. His Roush Fenway Ford teammate Greg Biffle up next in the 3M Fusion. 4 top 5 starts this season for Greg. He had 7 straight top 10 starts here at Richmond. Got a best finish here of 3rd.
And after finishing 7th at Talladega, popped back into the top 12 in points. He's 10th now. Casey Kane was out after last week. We were talking earlier. Normally when we leave here, the numbers say when we leave the spring race, 80% of the drivers that are in the top 12 when we leave here in the spring, that's the drivers that stay in the top 12 when we leave here in the fall, which leads into the chase.
11th on the first lap. Somewhat surprisingly, none of Greg's 14 Sprint Cup wins include a short track victory. That third place finish here in 2005 is his best short track result.
And he's a good short track racer. I mean, when he ran the Nationwide Series, and even, you know, when he got his start, he was a great short track racer.
Biffle with a little pickup on lap 2 stays 9th. Speed, not the other way around, and it's brought to you by the new Kentucky Grilled Chicken. Taste the unfried side of KFC. And by Toro. Count on it.
Well, I don't think Casey Mears can count on this first lap being very good. There on our watching, he was way up the hill over in turn 1 and 2.
Drove her in just a little wee bit too hard. Let's see if he can back that up a little and maybe correct that. Looks like the car's a little tight right in the middle of the corner. You saw it kind of diamond the corner off almost, kind of in low, up high, and down to the bottom again.
The only familiar face that, or voice that Casey Mears will hear this week here will be his spotter, Jimmy Kitchens. Richard Childress making the swap between the 29 team and the 07 team. Everybody involved at the track and at the shop.
Yeah, car was just tight, Larry. I mean, that car was pushing up big time.
2190 for Mears. He is 19th of 20 right now. Krista?
Well, hard to believe when you've won 3 of the last 4 races at this track that you would have a bad feeling in the race car. But Jimmy, you had said in the practices things weren't necessarily going your way. Where is the race car right now?
Well, we got it right at the end, and especially for qualifying trim. I hope that I can go out and back up that time I ran earlier. But this tire has been a challenge for us at Phoenix. It kind of threw us off a little, and we had to work hard on the car today. And I think we're on to the right things now, but it's just taking us a little while to get things under control. But I'm very proud of these guys. They've been working really hard. We changed a lot of stuff today, and hopefully this slows Impala gets us a good lap tonight.
Thanks, Jimmy.
What really affects a race car when you have a different tire? It's not so much that the tire is that much, it's the camber gain. How much camber are you putting in that tire at a particular spot on the racetrack? That's what messes up your setup. The length of your upper control arm, how quickly it's gaining camber, those are the things that mess up your setup.
Now here comes the rocket. Ryan Newman on his first lap is third, 21:43. That is the second best of the first laps we've seen.
He actually lost a lot of time getting down into turn 1 and through the middle of 1 and 2, and he's going to be one of the few cars to run slower, it looks like, on lap 2.
Now, a lot of that is based on how much air pressure you go out with. If you go out with a pretty high amount of air in your tires, your first lap's going to be good, and your second lap may not be quite that good.
Mike, of course, we know Ryan Newman finished third in all the action that was happening last week at Talladega. I talked to his crew this morning, said what basically helped him to finish third when Carl Edwards hit the front of his car as hard as he did, the throttle hung. Ryan had no choice but to ride it out across the finish line. Didn't really get it slowed down and stop to way down in turn 1 and 2.
You know, that's a weary feeling. I mean, here you are, you've just wrecked, you've run right up under a guy. You can't even probably see where you're going, and the car won't slow down.
Running wide open.
Jeff Burton, a winner here for Jack Roush in 1998. Since he joined RCR, he has 3 top 5 starts in 9 races here. Total of 10 top 10 starting positions. He may get another one. He's 7th on his first lap.
It was a good first lap, 21:45. He actually got off the corner pretty good. He lost a little ground right in the middle. Let's see what he can do over here in 3 and 4.
I tell you, just think about it. He made up 3 laps last week at Talladega.
Yes.
I mean, he got up on the wheel to get those laps back.
About third quickest for Burton, 21:37, and we've still got a lot of cars to qualify, but when Jeff Burton starts that near the front,
it looks to me like all those changes Childress made helped him a lot.
That didn't even involve him. That's right. That's a great lap.
That's right. Jeff Burton's team was unaffected by all the changes at RCR this week.
As well as Clint Boyers.
David Ruderman had been one of the quickest Toyotas in practice. He was the fastest Toyota in the first practice session.
David really ran good here last fall. It was really, I think, the turnaround for him and his team. They led the most laps, had a top 10 finish. It really ended his season well last year with the run he had here.
This year he won the pole at Texas, and he's had 5 top 10 starts.
Yeah, he was 4th quickest in practice. Let's see what this first lap, 21:57. That puts him 13th quickest.
puts him 6th among the Toyotas right now. They have the top 2
Look
spots.
at that thing gain down that back straightaway.
Well, that means he got off a turn 4 or 2 over there in the throttle really well. Let's see how he does off 4. He wiggled a little bit off 4.
How about that? 4th quickest, 21:40.
That's my boy.
That now gives Toyota 3 of the first 4 spots. Dick?
With Ryan Newman, we expected a good qualifying run from him since half of his attempts at qualifying have resulted in a top 5 start. But now you've got some time with this new team, with the crew chief, car chief, and so forth. How much better are things now than they were, say, at Daytona?
Definitely better. I'd say 100% better, but we didn't know what we had then. We just kind of speculated. So really happy with the U.S. Army Chevrolet. Is a good effort. I hope we bettered where we were in practice, which was 14th. So just look forward. I'm really good in race. I'm really happy with the car. Starting spots a great way to start. A good starting spot's a great way to start the race.
Indeed, it is. Congratulations on a job well done.
Thanks, Dick. Reed Sorensen with the McCafe colors on his Petty Dodge, number 43, coming off a 12th at Phoenix and 11th at Talladega.
A couple of good quality runs there. Not a great first lap for Reed, 21:77. Reed was 18th quickest in final practice.
He's gaining a little bit on this lap. Air pressure's come up, tires have come in. Uh-oh, getting a little high off turn 4 there.
I believe he overdrove the entrance to turn 3, Darrell.
Just got it up the hill and couldn't get it back.
Moves to 14th with a 21:53. Dick?
When Jeff Burton ended his run, he thanked his crew for all the hard work that he said paid off. What did they do to this car?
Oh, this has been quite a day. We unloaded and just, there's no testing, so we unloaded the racetrack, always trying stuff, and we were really, really slow. And they had a game plan and they stuck with their game plan, and by the time practice is over, I think we have a car that can win the race. I mean, I feel really good about it. So they worked really hard and kept trying a lot of things, had a great plan and stuck to it. And even though in my panic I tried to get them to change their plan, they stuck to it, and just real proud of all their effort.
More evidence that this is a team sport, Mike Joy.
Thanks, Dick.
And Mike, if Jeff Burton starts that far up in the field, look out.
Jeff Gordon, his last 4 finishes here, top 10s. The last 4 before that, 30s and 40s. 2 wins here and a bunch of poles, 5 of them.
His first lap, 21:67. For the most part, both of those practices, this team struggled, but then they ripped off a lap that was good enough to be 2nd quickest in practice, and he looks like he's working on that same type of lap here on lap 2.
His lap in practice was equal to Vickers, and he misses by 5/100ths of a second. He
I love
misses
Jeff
the pole.
Gordon. Every time he runs good, off turn 4 before he ever gets to the line. Feels good.
He knows it's happening.
Gordon on track. The Energizer Toyota. Now he's in the top 35, but just 18 points ahead of Scott Speed. First lap, 21:90. That's on the high side.
And Robbie desperately needs a good run here this weekend, and this has been a good track. We watched him make up about 2 or 3 laps several years ago after having a flat tire right at the start of the race, because he comes in here just barely inside the top 35.
He just needs to finish this race uneventfully.
22nd of 26 right now for the California driver, who has 2 previous top 10 starts here. Ask.com, in case you're wondering how many cars were involved in the big one last week. If you want the answer now, go to Ask.com, where NASCAR fans go to get answers.
How many big ones? I was going to say, was that big one number 1 or big one number 2?
Were there?
Well, I think number 1 was the big one.
Okay.
Followed by the big one, the sequel. Followed by the, oh my gosh, the big one at the last lap. That would be my take on it.
I think you're perfectly correct right there.
Casey Kane, who got his first Sprint Cup win here, starting from the pole, as was pointed out earlier, in 2005. And now he's had 4 finishes of 13th or worse that have dropped him out of the top dozen.
Pretty decent first lap, 21:53. Car kind of really slid through, just almost like a slide through 1 and 2.
That usually means the pressure in your tires has built up. and that'll get that slide like that.
See if Kane can move into the top 10. Nope, 12, 21:48. Matt Kenseth in the DeWalt Ford won the pole earlier this afternoon for the nationwide race this evening. Let's check with Krista as Matt begins his run.
Well, Kurt Busch is the current points leader. He hopes to be the Richmond pole sitter. Can this car do it?
We hope so. We're going to give it a good run with our Miller Lite Dodge. I feel like we made a couple small changes so that way we can keep up with the racetrack changing, because it's getting cooler out and we're always hoping for a cloud. I don't know if a cloud makes you quicker, but you feel better about it.
Whatever works. Thanks, Kurt. Dick?
Jeff Gordon has started on the front row 10 times in 32 attempts. That's before tonight here at Richmond. And we heard you go hooping and hollering when you finished that run. How do you know when you have a front row run?
I knew it was going to be close, just based on the first lap versus practice. And I gotta tell you, these DuPont Chevrolet guys, they worked so hard today. We really didn't unload off the truck very good. We were struggling with the race runs, and finally started to hit on some things, and the car started to come to life right on like our last run. And then we put in the qualifying trim, and it was fast right away, and they just kept tuning on it. So Brian put up a great lap. It's going to be tough for anybody to beat him. I'm just glad we're close, and I don't know, I just thought that second lap was good. I didn't get off turn 4 coming to the white as good as I wanted to, but the lap itself was spectacular.
Look out for this guy tomorrow night. He sees Richmond as one of his very best racetracks.
Thanks, Dick. Matt Kenseth said his nationwide car was better than his Cup car, and the results prove it. 23rd for the DeWalt Ford.
Yeah, the Roush Fenway, in fact, all the Fords, they only have one more bullet, and they only have one car in the top 15 right now. Biffle's 14th.
I'd watch out for this guy tonight. Mark Martin, I mean, you know, he's been on the pole like, what, 3 out of the last 4 races. And this is the kind of track he usually really runs well on.
21:50 on lap 1. He looks like he's maybe working on a top 5 run, but not maybe a pole run.
Unless he does something special off 4 here, but he is doing have a good run.
Wow, 5th, 21:38.
Nice run.
Good run.
23, 28, 31, 37, 38, and a 40. Top 6.
Pretty tight.
Tonight's race for the Nationwide Series is the Lipton T250. We're happy to tell you that you can catch it on ESPN2 beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth, he's going to see the green flag from the front there. Unfortunately, the way it's looking, I believe he's going to see it from the back of the field tomorrow night.
Martin Truex Jr. was quick in both practice sessions. He led 24 laps at Talladega. Has a top 5 finish here. His only short track top 5 in 20 such events in the Sprint Cup series.
Yeah, you know, at Phoenix, had a fast car in practice, didn't back it up qualifying. I don't know how he's going to look here. It doesn't look like he's going to back it up all that gray here either.
It's going to be a pretty decent first lap, though, Darrell. 21:51.
Yeah, I'd get him up somewhere in the top 10. Should.
Lost a little bit right through the middle of turn 2. Let's see what he can do here in 3 and 4. Carried some pretty good speed through the middle of the corner right there. It's not going to be a pole run, but it's going to be a fast run.
Nice pickup.
Good job.
4th for Truex. Picks up 2/10 to a 21:32.
It's a good pickup.
Well, we were high on him, I remember, at Phoenix because he had done the tire test there. And he jumped out there right away when we were out there a couple of weeks ago and showed good speed. Certainly that's related to this racetrack as well.
Well, this will be one of the big bullets that I think Brian Vickers had to dodge right here.
Jimmy Johnson, before 2007, had only one top 5 finish here. And then he went on a tear, winning 1 pole and 3 of the last 4 races. He has 6 top 5 starts here.
This car they've got here, it actually has 4 wins. The win at Martinsville last month, and then also it's the car that won here at the Fall.
She's digging down in that hole. Pretty smooth up off 2.
I hope this is a get up to speed lap.
I think it is. He looked like he was having trouble even coming out of the pits, he was really spinning the rear tires a lot, trying to get them heated up.
That's probably not the first lap he was looking for, 21:58. The normal pickup has been about 2/10. We did see Denny Hamlin pick up 3/10 though. It's going to be a good run, but it's just not going to be a pole run.
No, he's going to get about a tenth and a half. Yeah, 21:46 for Jimmy Johnson, 13th.
Wow.
And you'll see it all right here on Speed. It's just a couple of weeks away. David Reagan had a big weekend at Talladega, won the nationwide race on Saturday, finished 12th on Sunday. Here's the UPS Freight Ford.
Tricky looking paint job.
Yeah, that'll look good under the lights.
That thing, I like that.
He was decent in practice. He was 12th quickest first lap, 21:72 for David. In the fastest Ford period is Greg Biffle, 17th. That's the only Ford in the top 20.
Checkers for Reagan. He picks it up to 19th and becomes the second fastest Ford with a 52. Krista?
One Red Bull driver currently on the pole. The other one getting ready for his first Richmond's Cup start. What do you think of this track so far?
So far, it's treated us pretty well. We were pretty good in practice. The track layout's totally different than most tracks because, you know, the front straightaway is like basically one big corner. It seems like it's going to be really good racing here because you can move around a lot. So I look forward to getting used to it in the nationwide race tonight. Today's been a really busy day, and then we got all day to rest for tomorrow's night race.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Scott Speed getting ready to roll. As Juan Pablo Montoya will be our next qualifier, and you never know what to expect from Montoya on a short track.
And Darryl, we were watching him in practice really arc the thing down in the corner. You can certainly get by with that qualifying out there by yourself.
Yeah, he likes that late entry, kind of run down the banking when he goes in, but this car looks like he's going to have to. Got his hands full right now.
Yeah, way up the hill on the exit of the corner.
See if it gets any better on this lap. He's entering the corner low like that car is really not comfortable because you got to have a car under you to go out there wide and shoot down into the middle of the turn the way he likes to do.
The Target Chevy started on pole last week at Talladega. First lap 27th.
So a little better there, but
just not comfortable.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
You can tell it's on kind of on ice.
He jumps to 24th with a 21:65. So probably the last big threat to Brian Vickers for the pole is coming up right about now.
Pretty
That'd
good.
be Kurt Busch in the Miller Lite Dodge.
He was pretty good. He was in the top 5 in our final practice. Wouldn't count him out. Temps have fallen a little bit.
So we have Busch, then Allmendinger, and then we go to knockout qualifying with 10 cars for 8 positions.
Something going on with the 2 car. It won't crank.
Unthink what you thought about KFC. New Kentucky Grilled Chicken is here. Taste the unfried side of KFC.
Yeah, we're getting a report that they cannot get it to crank. So what NASCAR would do on this situation is probably put them on the 5-minute clock.
And they will move A.J. Allmendinger out of line and send Allmendinger next.
Working on Carl's signature move was
A.J. Allmendinger. A little hitch in his entry into turn 1 after a first lap of 31st. Allmendinger's had a tough time the last 3 races. He's fallen from 15th to 27th in the standings, racing for the Paralyzed Veterans of America organization.
Yeah, that's the King's Cup Karting for a Cause. They're going to have a 4-hour endurance go-kart race at the Pit, which is an indoor karting arena down in Mooresville. And all the proceeds, that'll be on May the 19th, will go to the Paralyzed Veterans of America. Great cause.
26th for Allmendinger, 21:65.
And they got the old 2-car cranked up.
4 top 5 starts for Kurt Busch in 2009. Outside pole at California and Las Vegas. 6 top 10 finishes so far this year compared to only 1 last year at this time.
Oh, this team is just so much better this year than it was last year.
Yeah, they're leading the points. This point last year, they were 20th, 444 points out of the lead.
Wow.
And what I like what Kurt said to us earlier this year, though. They identified their problems, not their problem. And that's really where they picked up. They realized they had aero problems, engine problems, people probably had a lot of little problems that they got their arms around and really made a big difference.
Well, that first lap of 21.68 is kind of a second-tier first lap.
Yeah.
But, you know, following up on what Darrell said, Kurt told us, you know, maybe 10% aero, maybe 10% engine, maybe 10% chassis. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to go from a 21.68 to a 21.28 in this sport, those 10% really make a difference.
Well, he got halfway there, Larry. He got to a 47, and that'll put him 15th. So
second quickest Dodge.
Yeah, good pickup on the second lap. Second to his teammate Stremme. The voice in my ear from deep in the production truck said, I can't say it because it's a trademarks statement, we'd have to pay royalties, but you know what they say before a big fight. What's that fellow's name? Michael Buffer, I think is the announcer. So we won't say it, but it's time for knockout qualifying. That's what we're trying to get to here. 10 drivers, 8 positions, and the first of those is Dave Blaney, who has had a pretty fast hot rod this afternoon in practice.
He was definitely one of the fastest go or go homers for the majority of both those practice sessions. This team with Michael McDowell, Dave Blaney was not in the car at Talladega. He had a family function he was attending, but they missed the show last week.
One thing though, Larry, that's somewhat deceiving sometime on these go or go home guys, they're in full-blown qualifying trim all the time. So they go out and put out a lap quicker than everybody else. Sometimes that's not quick enough when it comes to qualifying.
Well, that was a get up to speed lap for Blaney, 21.95. He's going to need to be quite a bit quicker on this second lap to make the show, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just looking right now, we need to see a few of them run. And he's going to go to 23rd quickest at a 21.61. I'm going to say to feel real safe, maybe mid-high 50s right now.
I feel a lot better about that lap.
Oh, yeah.
Burn before it begins, so I can enjoy the tailgating foods I love on race day. Try Prilosec OTC, the round-the-clock heartburn blocker.
Stop. You're West Birmingham, Atlanta, Georgia. Quaker State wants to know who has the world's worst commute. You got construction on 75, 285, I-20, 30.
$5 footlong. Subway, eat fresh. And brought to you by True Value, the tools, products, and expert advice for all your project needs. True Value. Start right. Start here. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Running for the Coors Light pole for tomorrow night's Crown Royal presents the Russ Friedman 400. And Tony Raines clocks in at a 21.82 in the Long John Silver Chevrolet.
A bad lap, really, when you think about it.
You know, considering 21.82 right now is going to be nail biting of making this show, and right now 21.23 is on the pole. But you pointed out to me during the break, Mike, that only 2 cars will go home. I'm like you now. I think if you can run in the 70s, you're probably going to be safe. So Dave Blaney's lap at a 61 looks pretty sporty.
The reason I said that wasn't a bad lap because the best he did in practice was 22.24.
Oh, so wow. That's a good pickup.
He did make a nice improvement on the car.
Joe Nemechek had a nice run at Talladega, picked up a little sponsorship, and was rewarded with a 14th place finish.
This group's only missed 2 races in 2009. They barely missed the Daytona 500, missed Texas. Joe actually has a win here back when he drove for Hendrick Motorsports, a 25 car.
That's right. This race in 2003. He started outside pole and went on to win.
Pretty good first lap, 21.71. That's by far the fastest first lap of the go or go home group.
Joe just knows. I just like the way he's doing this whole deal. He's got a small operation, him and Felipe Lopez, and crew chief, and his mom, his dad, and a little family operation. I like that.
I believe he's going to lock himself in with that run. He will at a 21.56. We have no past champions here.
How you like to be 21.56? You're 22nd on the sheet right now. You have no sponsor on the car.
Right.
I mean, that just, you know, that just seems so unfair.
And with no sponsor on the car, you have no tires to run the whole race. And just think of what you could do if you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the guys he out-qualified. He out-qualified Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards. I mean, he's out-qualified some horsepower.
Some heavy hitters.
Yes, sir.
Great effort. Nemechek 22nd. He locks in.
Thanks for the good lap there, bud.
And that brings up Scott Riggs, who has run 5 races this year for Tommy Baldwin Racing. In this number 36, he has a best start here of 3rd and a best finish of 10th.
Felt so bad for this group last week at Talladega. They got in a great qualifying run, quite a wiggle off turn 2 for Scott, and then they were right in the middle of that big crash on lap 6.
Yeah, and when you're on a, you know, tight budget, the last thing you need to do is lose a race car, because you don't have 20 like some of these teams do.
He's got some work to do, though, Darrell. First lap, 22 flat.
Yeah, the car's not really not turning well, and when it's causing him to get up the track and get loose off the corner.
Scott needs a 1/4 of a second. He needs to be 35th or better.
He's flirting with it.
Yep.
It's going to be right there on top of what Blaney ran.
Man, he brought her across there sideways, boys.
Did it?
He beats Blaney.
No, he beats Tony Raines.
Tony Raines.
Yeah,
yes,
21.81. Blaney's will
locked
lock in.
Yes.
But Riggs stands a good chance of making this race.
Well, and here's why. Watch him. Watch him come off turn 4. Yippee! Hang on to her, dude.
He knows if he lifts, he goes home.
Never lift.
Yep.
The good thing is it didn't hook back to the right, so he did a great job.
But yeah, he beat Raines by about 1/100th of a second.
That's it. 81 and 82.
So Nemechek and Blaney are in. Riggs and Raines in that order are the bottom 2. And we kind of feel that at worst one of those might go home. Scott Speed. Rookie, boy, has he come on.
He has, and this is one of those runs where what you don't know, you don't know. I mean, it could be pole. You just don't know about this guy. He's a rookie. He had never been here before. You just have to.
This thing flew around the bottom of one.
Well, who's on the pole?
Ryan Vickers, his teammate.
So you got to feel like the cars are pretty similar.
Well, he's going to easily lock himself in on lap 1.
Wow, he's by far the fastest of the go-to-go homers with a 47. He is 16th. Oh boy,
he's not done yet.
Working on an all front row Red Bull.
Unbelievable.
I just think some guys like this, that you know they got ability. He couldn't run Formula One and do what he's done if he didn't have ability.
Darrell, I believe he overdrove turn 3 and paid a slight price on the exit, but what a great run for Scott Speed, as he mentioned, first start at Richmond.
21.39, he is 7th. The 2 rookies in the race, Speed 7th and Logano 12th right now. Speed locks himself in, and the bottom 2 remain, Riggs and Raines.
I believe he was on a front row run. He just overdrove. We talked about it at the top of the show, that fine line between underdriving and overdriving.
But see, when you're a rookie, you've never raced here before, you don't know that second lap going into 3rd turn, you might want to slow down just a little bit, because the car's going to slide around a little bit more.
And oh, by the way, we mentioned it's his first time ever here.
Yeah.
Now here's Jeremy Mayfield. This is the smallsponsors.com, has joined forces with Mayfield to try to bring American small businesses to big-time stock car racing. Let's see if Jeremy can get this in the show.
Overdrove 1 and 2. Car went way up the racetrack on the exit of turn 2.
Let me tell you something. Unless you've ever been in this situation where you got to get your car in the race on a speed and beat people like that these guys have to do, I can't tell you how uptight you are when you go out on that racetrack.
Well, one of his 5 cup wins came at this racetrack, but he's got to go. 21.85 is not going to do it.
Well, he had a shot there for a little bit.
All he needs is to be in the 70s.
Coming back. I believe it's coming back. He gets in. 21.75. He beats Riggs and Raines.
Good for him.
Nice run for Jeremy.
But you know what I think the key was, Darrell? Unlike we were talking about Scott Speed, he eased it down into turn 3. A lot more starts here than Scott Speed, and he got that speed coming back to the line.
Dick.
with Scott Speed. How did you do that with no time, no races here?
I don't know. Honestly, I think we gave up a little bit in turn three and four. We made some good decisions after practice, and honestly, I mean, we've been pretty reasonable all day. I hope the thing is as good in race trim as it is in qualifying trim, but nonetheless, I mean, always a plus to start towards the front.
It is indeed. Congratulations on a terrific run.
David Gilliland next. Gilliland needs to run a 21.80 to make the show. Right now the bottom two remain Scott Riggs and Tony Raines with three drivers to go after Gilliland.
Boy, that thing really took a slide right there in the middle of 1 and 2.
This car was a lot like Scott Riggs in the 36 car last week. Had a great qualifying run. He was right at the front of the pack when that wreck broke out on lap 6, and he was caught right in the middle of it.
Gilliland 40th, a 21.87. He needs a 70. He needs an 80. He needs 7 100s.
Oh, yeah, he'll be okay. That first lap, the car didn't turn at all in 1 and 2, but this time it's looking a little bit better. A little high right here in 3 and 4, shoved up in the middle of the corner, but should be okay.
Going to be just fine, I think. He'll end up 33rd quickest. That'll lock him in.
Nice lap for David. 21.67. You hear that sigh of relief?
I know how you feel, buddy.
And we're down to 3 drivers left. And the bottom two still Scott Riggs and Tony Raines, as Mike Bliss gets ready to roll for the team that won last week in Talladega. James Finch owns this team. Got his first Cup win in his 117th race. His team, Phoenix Racing, began in September 1990 at Dover with Jeff Purvis, who drove their first 35 races, and since then 15 different drivers have driven for Finch before Brad Keselowski made it to victory lane on Sunday.
And Brad will be back in the car for the All-Star race in a couple of weeks from tomorrow night. They're putting another Chevy program. They run a Dodge here like with Mike Bliss, but Brad Keselowski will be in that All-Star race with this group.
Yeah, fast Eddie Mercer, you know, and Jeff Purvis. Those are guys that really were, they drove for Finch a lot in the All-Pro and the ASA, different races in the Midwest and in the Southeast. And it's good to see James get that win.
Shoot, he's locked in easily on lap 1 at a 21.55.
That's a very good first lap. That's one of the top 10 or so first laps today.
Bliss can get it done.
He did a nice job of easing that thing down into turn 3, and you can see he reaps the reward for it, and he becomes the fastest go homer, 6th quickest for Mike Bliss.
Success breeds success.
That's it, buddy. And that's a Dodge.
Yeah.
Last week was a Chevrolet they got from Hendrick. This week that's a Dodge. I think they got that from Ganassi.
21.38 for Mike. He is 6th fastest.
You know, Darrell, I do want to clear one thing up that you said earlier. You know, you talked about these go homers in full-blown qualifying trim. Well, with this not being a total impound like last week at Talladega, honestly, our top 35, they pretty much got it all hung out too, because they will get to work on these cars after qualifying.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Now here's where we stand. Riggs and Raines are still the bottom 2, and Mike Bliss is on the outside pole for tonight's race. Todd Bodine will make his run as they push Trevor Boy's car to the line. Boy's is on the 5-minute clock, and it looks like he will get to make his run. So it's Riggs and Raines who've already run. Todd Bodine and Trevor Boy's to go, and Todd needs to move to that green line to be sure of making the show. He needs that 21.80.
Won't happen. In fact, that's one of the slowest first laps that we've seen at a 22.13. So he's got work to do halfway down the back straightaway.
But that's not an impossible pickup. It's a lot to ask, but it could be done.
He's a little more than 0.3 of a second.
Just does not look like it's going to get there.
No, didn't make it.
No, the Gunselman car goes home. Todd Bodine does not qualify for tomorrow night's race, and we're down to 1. Trevor Boyes from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Riggs is locked in as Todd Bodine's run sent Todd to the house in the Gunselman car, and Trevor Boyes has his chance right now. 23.31. The first lap is more than a second off pace. Not quick enough. 23.03. So Riggs and Raines will race tomorrow. Bodine and Boyes go home. Here's your Subway front row for tomorrow night's 400. Brian Vickers, 7th career pole, 2nd of the year. And Jeff Gordon on the front row here at Richmond for the 11th time in his career. Krista.
Brian Vickers' first career pole came at this track 5 years ago. You do it again, and can you win with this car?
I think so. It has potential. We, we're definitely not where we wanted to be in practice. Really proud of the Red Bull guys. They made a bunch of great changes toward them practice. Unfortunately, we didn't make those changes until we got into qualifying trim, so we were not able to experiment on the race trim. But we really feel like the changes we made that really fixed the car in qualifying trim should apply to the race trim. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Really proud of the guys to turn it around today in practice and get a pole.
Great day for both Red Bull teams. Congratulations, Brian.
Thanks, Krista. Vickers Gordon on the front row. Denny Hamlin, the hometown favorite with Martin Truex. Jeff Burton's won here before. Mike Bliss for James Finch, row 3. Mark Martin's been coming here for a long, long time. Scott Speed's never seen the place.
See David Ruderman there. Daryl mentioned it. Led the most laps in the fall race here.
Yeah, but his crew chief happens to be working from last year, is working on the carts on the pole.
There you go, Ryan
so
Pemberton.
There may be some transfer of information there.
Pat Kenseth, Carl Edwards, deep in the field.
That's surprising to see those guys that far back. Bobby Labonte.
Long way to come from. And Tony Raines gets the final spot in the field. Well, the weather held despite threatening skies. And we'll see what happens tomorrow night on Fox. Crown Royal presents the Russ Friedman 400.
They better get those cars going, I tell you.
The Vortex Theory. Honoring a serviceman who wrote an essay in a Crown Royal contest and said he wanted to share this with everybody in the armed forces.
Man has won 2 Purple Hearts.
Congratulations to Brian Vickers on his 7th career pole in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. We'll see you tomorrow night.